What's up, guys? This is Grant James. A few weeks ago, I did a video on Robert Holly where we basically did an interview and we talked about a lot of the different things in his life.
And Ida said, "How could you eat dogs? They're the kindest, cutest animals. They're our best friend." I said, "Ida, snails are my best friend."
It's actually the most watched video that I've had so far. The average duration was around 10 minutes, which is really long for a YouTube video. And so kind of based off of that, I decided to do another interview. And this one is with a guy named Go Billy Korean. Give me 1 second. Let me check the door real quick. I'll be right back. 1 second.
All right. He's not going to watch that.
I don't actually know what his real full name is, but he's just kind of known as Go Billy Korean, and he is a YouTuber. He has about 250,000 subscribers, so pretty big. And I think he's actually the second largest YouTuber that teaches Korean. I would say that Talk to Me in Korean is maybe a little bit bigger than his channel, but as far as foreigners that teach Korean through YouTube, he's probably the best. In fact, for me personally, what I like to do is every Sunday, I think, in the afternoon, I'm not exactly sure what the time is, but it seems like for my time, it's around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Utah time. He does these online live trainings.
So, because you're not saying anything, 아무 말도 안 하길래 I 이해한 줄 알았어요. Thought you understood.
And there's usually 100 to 200 students that are there at any given time. I would say that what Billy is the best at is really teaching grammar. So he'll take different grammar forms and then break them down for you. A lot of the grammar forms I know, but there are aspects of those forms that I'm not that familiar with sometimes. So knowing a little bit of the history on those and then how to use them a little bit better is kind of helpful. So as an entrepreneur, I own an ad agency, and that's how I earn a living. I am always kind of interested in YouTube as a business. My YouTube channel is pretty small. I actually just barely monetized, so now I can, make a little bit of money doing ad revenue stuff. I think I've literally made $2.50 so far, so I'm really, really good at YouTube. Just kidding. But I'm always interested in YouTubers and how they make a living doing that, especially those that are kind of in the Korean space. So here's kind of the way that I've broken down this interview. The first part of the interview is where we're talking about YouTube in general. What is YouTube like as a business? I ask him how he got started, how much money he makes doing YouTube. And then he has some kind of cool features in his channel. He has this bear called KeyCat. So I talked to him about that. He does all these daps.
Barsh. Thank you.
So he has some kind of fun things in there, and I talked to him a little bit about the history of some of the branding that he has within his channel. The second thing that you'll find in this video, Billy and I actually end up talking a lot about what it's like to be a foreigner living in Korea. I think that this is one of the more interesting aspects of the interview. One of the things that we talk about is how difficult it can be to really be yourself as a foreigner. We talk a little bit about the subject of racism. We even talk a little bit about how if you show up on one of the Korean TV shows, a lot of times everything is completely scripted. And so the foreigners that show up on those shows a lot of times memorize everything, and they kind of have to stick to a certain script in order to kind of move forward. So we talk about that. In the third section, we talk about some of the different works that Billy has done, such as his books, what his relationship is like with Talk to Me in Korean, because they've actually done some different things together, and some of those types of things. The fourth thing that we talk about are his live broadcasts. If you have not checked these out, I definitely recommend it. And the last thing we talk about is, of course, studying Korean. So if you are like me and you're a foreigner that's learning Korean and you want some tips from people who are really good at speaking the language, I think that this is a section that you'll definitely want to check out. Or if you're Korean and you're trying to learn English, a lot of the things are reflexive in that the processes that people like Billy use to learn Korean can also work as a Korean trying to learn English. So here we go.
All right. Yes. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
No worries. No worries. So I'm here with Billy Korean. First name Billy, last name Korean.
Yes. Middle name Go.
Wait, so what is your name?
Of course, Go is not my real last name. Yeah, I'd rather not expose it on this channel because the original reason I didn't want to use my full name is because I was worried I would get stalkers, and I didn't think I'd actually get popular, but I thought, well, maybe someone's gonna maybe there's gonna be one or two crazy fans. Unfortunately, though, that didn't really protect me. I've still had some stalker people find me out, but so you could just call me Billy. Billy's good enough.
Okay, so how did you choose the name of your channel?
It's funny. I wrote down a few ideas in a notepad on my computer, and I'm kind of pitching them to my wife. What should I do? Should I call it Billy Korean or Learn Korean with Me or Let's Learn Korean? I had all these dumb names, and my wife's like, why don't you call it Go Billy?
Yeah.
Go, let's go. Kaza Billy. I'm like, oh, okay, sure. And I'll think of some more. I didn't like it, but
so if you look in your search queries in YouTube, does anybody actually type it in properly?
No. It's always Go Belly or Gobil or something like that. Goblin is another common one I've seen before.
Really?
Goblin Korean.
Because I usually type in Billy Korean. That's the way that I find this channel.
But then you'll find also Korean Billy if you do that. We also know each other. We've done a collab. We've done a couple collabs before together as well. That's the Korean guy who teaches UK dialects, English dialects.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So how did you get into YouTube / Korean education / what's kind of?
Well, as far as that, I had been teaching Korean before I did my YouTube channel. Maybe since 2009, I had been helping people online.
Yeah.
The website Reddit, as well as a bunch of chat rooms. There used to be some other chat rooms that I would go in for people who are learning Korean. The chat rooms are mostly gone now. Yeah. But people would ask questions and I would be like, well, hey, I know the answer to that. So type it out. They'd say, thanks, great answer. And then I would see the next week, the exact same question would get posted again. So I'm like, well, okay, copy, paste. Yeah. And the exact same questions every single week I would just notice this over a period of a year or so. And I thought in 2012, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make some sort of channel. I just want to answer these few questions, just a few, three questions that everyone keeps asking: how to conjugate yo form, the difference between ida and ita, and then I can't remember the other video I made. Anyway, a few things I kept getting like that, and that was it. I didn't have any intention of doing a full YouTube thing. It was just I'll do this as a hobby every once in a while. And I think I got something like 2,000 subscribers the very first week. And I was like, what is this?
Seriously?
Yeah. I was like, what is this? I guess.
Wait, your first video though, because I went back and watched it this morning.
Yes.
That was traveling to Korea.
Right.
And
that video.
First of all, KeyCat made an appearance in that video.
Yes.
What did you pack? Billy, these things just won't do.
That video, actually, I made it way before I started my YouTube channel. I made that in 2010, and that was because I was going to take a trip with my family to go to Korea.
Yeah.
And that was actually they're all going to go to Korea for my wedding at the time. And so I wanted to make a video for them of how to speak Korean. So I purposely put on my worst Korean pronunciation. I want you to know that. And said 몰라요, 한국말, 몰라요. I'm like, just understand it.
No,
and
actually, I mean, going back and listening to your first one or two videos, your Korean sounded really good 7 years ago. So.
It wasn't bad. It's gotten better, but yeah. So that's all it was I made that as a joke video, and it worked because we went to Korea, and I heard my mom, I heard my dad saying things like "안녕" like that to the other people. I'm like, yes, these basic phrases.
I would say you sounded a little more Korean 7 years ago than you do.
Really?
여러분 안녕하세요. 저는 빌리라고 합니다. 반갑습니다. 뭐라고요? You don't speak Korean?
Yes, because here's why though.
Okay.
Because like you mentioned in one of the emails that we had back and forth, you enunciate the heck out of everything when you're teaching.
Yes. I started doing that because when I would originally talk Korean, people would be like, what is it that you're saying? can you speak more slowly? And your videos move too fast. I got that comment for my first 20 videos. So I'm like, okay, 저는 한국어를 배우고 있어요. And I would never say that.
Yeah.
I'd be, 저 한국어 배우고 있어요.
Yeah.
But I can't do that. They would not understand it. So I just kind of got in this pattern of every time I'm on video to enunciate very, very slowly and clearly.
Which you do a little bit of that when you're going back and forth between English and Korean. You do it in English.
Right. Yes. I'll be like trying to say something in Korean, but I'll put in my English intonation into it. Or I did like a new curriculum that I started. And for that, I know this problem exists. So I'm going to be introducing a feature for my next, after episode 20, where I'm going to be playing natives saying the same phrases and words after I say them. So just to kind of give people another frame of reference, like, hey, I'm pronouncing it like this so you can understand it, but no one's going to do that for you.
Yeah.
Koreans are not going to say, 한국말, maybe 우리말, or like 우리나라말, whatever like that.
Oh, okay. There's the Busan coming up.
Yeah. So I lived in Busan when I was there, and unlike Robert Holly, who you interviewed, who I was a great fan of at the time, he, and still am, I purposely did not try to learn Busan dialect. And he's the reason that I did not learn Busan dialect, actually. 100% truth. He is the reason why I purposely went out of my way not to learn Busan dialect, because I was worried people would just compare me to him.
That makes sense.
Like, just like Robert Holly. I'm like, no, I'm me.
It's funny because he lives in Gwangju though. That's what I always thought was like the most.
It's not even, not Busan technically.
So, okay. So here's a question. You can answer it however you want to, but this is, in the entire video, this is the most important question.
Okay.
And it has no question mark.
Okay.
Because it deserves more respect than that.
Okay.
KeyCat.
You want the whole story of KeyCat?
Well, wait, first of all, KeyCat is much larger than I had anticipated.
Yeah, KeyCat's head is like almost as big as mine.
Yeah.
Really.
And little unknown fact, KeyCat, not a cat.
Yeah, not a key either. This is not the original KeyCat. Actually, I have right in my closet. I have 4. I have another one in my bedroom closet, and I have another one in Korea. So that'd be 6. There are actually 6 duplicates of this. The original one's in our bedroom. That was a gift I got for my wife back in like 2011 or something like that. Just I randomly bought it, and we saw it on the shelf. We weren't going to the store. I wasn't going to go to the store to buy her a bear. I'm not like, she didn't care about that. But we just saw it. We're like, this is so cute. We have to buy it, and it's like $10 on sale. So we bought it, and then started appearing in videos, and I realized this is actually this is a character. I need to protect this. So I went on eBay and I ordered every single one I could find in every condition. So this one is the on-screen version. I also have a stunt version who it looks a little bit, the face is a little bit messed up. Like, I guess they made it wrong, but it's good for like throwing or getting wet or anything. And I have another one without a scarf in case I need to change the clothes. Another duplicate just like this in Korea. The original one, the fur's pressed down a little bit more, but yeah, so yeah, this is KeyCat.
Oh man, but you have not released like the full backstory on.
Not yet. No, not yet. I do have. There is a backstory. Believe it or not, there is a full backstory to.
Does KeyCat speak multiple languages?
If necessary, she can. But no, technically, she doesn't speak. She speaks English when she needs to, and she speaks only Korean when she needs to also. So some videos she doesn't speak any Korean.
But is it confirmed that it's a she?
Yes, it is a girl, and it's actually why I added the bow like a couple years ago, because people would think it's a boy.
KeyCat is or is not from the Bear Kingdom?
KeyCat is not from the bear. KeyCat is actually, okay, I'll give you a little backstory secret. KeyCat is actually a stuffed bear.
Wait, what?
And KeyCat is actually a stuffed bear.
Oh, okay, got it.
In the expanded universe.
Got it.
The GoBill expanded universe. She's actually a stuffed bear, and she can talk to me, but only I can hear her.
Oh, okay.
That's not her backstory. That's just like some details about how she works.
Got it. Give me 1 second. Let me check the door real quick. I'll be right back. 1 second.
All right. He's not going to watch that.
All right. Apparently, my neighbors didn't get the memo that I was doing a YouTube video right now.
Oh, it's fun. You can just edit it out if you want.
I know, I'm just playing. Okay. So next piece here, the hat and the shirt.
Okay. Well, the shirt, again, just like the original shirt, I have the original shirt in my closet. This is from the same company. They don't make the original, but they make this, which is close enough. And I have 5 or so of these. I have like a summer version. The hat is made, they're all made by the same company, but I have several. This is not the original either. But
if someone makes it to a high enough membership level within your
they get a hat.
Can they get one of those objects?
No, because they're very hard to find. Actually, these are very hard to come by. The company that makes these is a popular hat company in Korea, but they don't often make hats that are this color that have English on them that's bogus. Usually what they make is hats that have street names or like just one word on them. But like with this sort of thing with like, this says original dandy 68 American that looks from so cool. Scout about, decout around for new talent on the side. So if you want one of these hats, you'll have to find it yourself. I got my original one on the street in Korea. Actually, all my clothes right now are from Korea, with the exception of my pants. This is the original one, property of City, California.
Got it.
From the I think it's a ripoff of the brand Express.
Got it.
But yeah, it just became a thing. It wasn't supposed to be a costume. It was just I was like, I want to wear some clothes that look kind of fashionable on my first YouTube video, and this is what I thought was fashionable for my first YouTube video.
Yeah.
So, and it just became a thing.
So you started with answering Reddit comments then?
Not just Reddit. I included Reddit, but like on chat rooms also for learning Korean, and just in general on the internet, I would kind of go around and answer questions.
And then you made a couple of videos because you were getting married and you wanted to help with a couple different things.
Yeah, I was already married actually when I started.
Talk to me about how you grew your channel, how you became, for all intensive purposes, the best foreigner.
Sure, I'll take that.
YouTuber that teaches Korean.
Okay. Personally, I think best YouTube channel teaching Korean would still be, I think we'd talk to me in Korean.
Put a caveat in there. That's a foreigner.
Oh, that's a foreigner. Sure. Yeah, I actually might be the only foreigner that teaches Korean like exclusively on their channel. And there's a couple others. There's a couple others now that popped up that I've seen, like very small YouTubers, but that are starting out.
Yep.
I think that it's a combination of luck and timing. So I started when YouTube wasn't new. It was 2012, and people were already talking about how, is it too late to join YouTube now? Yeah, everyone's already done with that. Yeah. But I was still, as far as the Korean landscape, it was completely blank. And then luck. Like I said, I got lucky in that it was just people really wanted it. I was at the time the only foreigner who was teaching Korean. And I think that I thought it would hurt me, but I think it actually kind of helped me. And because I kept going with it, I kept trying to make better content. I always kept thinking like, not what do my viewers want so much, but how can I make better videos? Like what could I do to make my videos more entertaining, more educational, easier to understand, more shareable? And what types of videos could I make if I don't want to do this one type of video? What other types? So my first videos were all the ones with KiCat, just me and KiCat, and we do a skit. But then I wanted a break because those take so much time I make a storyboard for those, and they take like, I think 3 or 4 days to do each one, like full days. So I wanted to do a different type. So I'm like, well, let me make some food videos, and let me try to make a travel video, or make Q&A where I just talk to people, or let me try learn Korean with this. So I just keep trying to improve my videos, and I kept a schedule. So I always did one video every single week, even when I was sick. Once I went to the emergency room, I still uploaded a video the next morning when I got back home, every single week. And now it's 5 videos a week, but that's temporary. But yeah, I just kept trying to improve. And I think that's what
that much content.
Okay, live stream. I prepare for the live stream. I can prepare while doing other work previously. So, and then editing the live stream, I do those in the same day. So it's 2. one regular video that I do every week, which these days is my Korean FAQ series, which I actually film 15 of those at once in one day. And I can edit those all in 2 days. And I think it only takes like 5 days to write. So I think that's like a 2-week period to make 14 videos. So every day, basically. And then 2 of the curriculum episodes. And those ones I also filmed all 20 in one day. So editing 1 per day, those take a long time to edit, but filming was all 1 day for the first 20 episodes.
So
yeah, it's just,
I mean, you have, so 250-ish thousand subscribers is not nothing.
They don't all watch my videos. I get maybe a few thousand per video, maybe 2 or 3 or so.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think there's so many subscribers but less watchers?
Because most people like the idea of learning Korean. Yeah. They'll find my Learn Hangul video. They'll be like, wow, this is great. I should learn Korean. Subscribe. Now I'm learning Korean. And then they do nothing with it. They just kind of want that.
It's like signing up to go to the gym, and that's as far as you make it.
Yeah. That's a good analogy. So yeah, I think that's the reason why. No shame in that. Like that's gonna be how it always is.
Is that how it is with Talk to Me in Korean as well, or do they get more views?
I think it's similar for them, but they've been around longer. They have a lot more content, more variety of content, and then they have lots of natives, which is really helpful. Yeah. And they have a higher subscriber count. So even if they have similar interaction as me, I actually don't know. Just because they have more subscribers overall, they're going to have more view counts translate from that. Yeah. But yeah, I wanted to start just to help people out. Like there weren't any videos on these sort of topics on YouTube. There were people who were teaching Korean on YouTube, but they were all, let's learn Hangul, let's learn phrases. There were no grammar lessons on YouTube for learning Korean until Talk to Me in Korean came around. Actually, actually got started making their full videos. There just weren't any free Korean lessons online. There was Korean Class 101. At the time, they were the big ones, and they had like some free simple courses, but I think they mostly had their paid content. So yeah, I was just like starting in a new market, I guess. And
all right. So we just talked about Billy's YouTube channel. In the next section, we're talking about what life is like being a foreigner in Korea. And really the theme here is how can foreigners be more authentic and genuine to who they are and still be in line with the core values and culture aspects of Korea itself.
And yeah, that's kind of one of the reasons why I myself don't want to appear on Korean TV is I like being myself. I don't want to like hide like so much about my personal life. I don't want to have to do that if I were on TV. I don't want people like researching in like, oh, he went to this school, he dated this girl, oh, she said this about him.
Well,
like
I don't know if you saw the video that Dave from Dave's World did about why he left TV, but it was one of the most fascinating because Dave's really good at Korean.
I've seen a few of his videos. Yeah, he speaks Korean really well.
So it was interesting when he was talking about it because he said, I left it because it wasn't genuine for me.
No, if you want that sort of genuine, like I am me thing, you would have to present it from the beginning. Yeah. But they don't want that. They want the narrative. Like I've been contacted myself from Korean TV companies asking me, can you appear on our programs? Yeah. I won't say the names of the programs, but you would definitely know them. Sure. And they're like, yeah, you should be on our program. How, I explained to them, look, I'm a tourist. I'm not living in Korea. I can't even work legally in Korea. No, thank you. Yeah. But really, like, I don't want that sort of invasion of my privacy. And I don't want them to portray me as someone who I'm not. They'd probably put me on TV, look like Billy learned Korean, a genius in languages, wonderful child, perfect family. Yeah. Look at this. I'm like, dude, like, no, I'm just a guy.
Have you ever been to Lotte World before?
Yeah.
So one of the things that kind of bugs me is you go there and there's a lot of like Russian workers there, right? A lot.
Yeah, they're all of the performers are foreigners.
They're all wearing this costume and they're in this role. I feel like that is how you are as a Korean speaker.
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
I think so.
Let's put this costume on you. It's like this Robert Holly video that I just did. And people were very, very nice in the comments and what have you. But there were people who said, how can you be friends with somebody who did XYZ? Like,
right.
Why aren't you shutting them out like the rest of us? And I'm like, I had to tell them, I'm like, look, in my country, we have much bigger problems. If somebody has a drug issue in my country, you'll never hear about it. They go to rehab. That's what they do.
Or they just continue to appear on what is it? The comedy TV shows or whatever. Like you know, like you hear Charlie Sheen doing drugs and you're like, oh, that's just him being him, you know. Or, you know, Robert Downey Jr. is a great example of someone who was a drug addict that went to this, you know, great total clean person. Like, so you see someone who has problems with drugs or something in the US, and it's like, oh yeah, they have a problem with that, but I hope they get better. Or, you know, you don't want them to be cast out, I guess.
There have been a few people I think have done a better job with this, like that guy, Sam Ochiri, like that.
Sam Ochiri, yeah, I know of him.
가나는 거의 고등학교까지 교복 입지. 근데 우리는 약간 미국 영화 보면은 막 고등학교 다 사복 입고 자기가 입고 싶어 입으니까 우리도 그런 거 하고 싶었는데 안 됐어.
He's just himself, you know what I mean? And and I will say that when I lived in Korea, there was a lot of racial stuff about different races. And I feel like people like him have really helped overcome some of those types of things.
I think so too. I think for the general Black community in Korea, I think he is probably the number one positivity promoter.
Right.
Like as well, when I was there too, it wasn't so much that Koreans are don't like other races. It's just they don't know them. They don't know what they should think about them, and they're just like maybe not trustworthy. Like, oh, I don't know, who is this guy? What's he gonna do? But I think he's doing a really good job of helping to break that, show them like, hey, no, look, like this Sam Ochiri guy, he speaks Korean, he's funny. He's
the other guy that I think is kind of cool. He was on that Abnormal Summit thing. The Canadian guy who was the StarCraft player. You know what I'm talking about?
The guy with the slick down hair, the blonde hair.
It's like Kiyor, or I don't know. Because I'd have to
Korean or Canada.
He's Canadian. It's like a French.
Okay. I've probably seen him, but I don't know the other cast.
저 프로게이머였거든요. 근데 어린 나이에 어느 정도 이제 이름 있는 프로게이머였어요. 대회 나가고. 근데 처음 보는 테란 선수가 나왔는데 제가 졌어요.
이묘한이구나.
임요한이었어요.
이묘한 테라는 정말.
그래서 요한 형이랑 방송에서 만날 때마다 제가 졌어요.
But it's kind of cool because of the different people there. He was famous in Korea for a craft.
For StarCraft.
Before he was like the guy they threw on there. So his opinions are, they talk to him about like, when they start talking about games or competition or whatever, he just gets to be himself and talk about whatever rather than just be, you know, the stick figure person. Anyway, I wish I would see some of that change a little bit where just people are a little more open. I feel like there's a lot of even very popular celebrities right now that they are not super open with who they are.
You can't. And like, if you're talking about K-pop, like their image is manufactured. They cannot deviate from what their image is. Like, let's just put a girl group, for example. You can't date, right? You're not even supposed to be flirting with other guys. Can't gain any weight, but also can't lose any weight because then, you know, you're losing too much weight. Are you not healthy? You can't be sick. Because then, oh no, she's sick. Oh no, why is she performing? Why is the management making them perform? It's this like giant drama. Like, you do realize these are real girls. Like, these are not, they're not products. They're not like, you know, so, but that's just the way it goes. And it's not just for the music industry. It's just the whole entertainment industry is you want to, your number one goal in everything is entertainment, and YouTube's the same. You want people to enjoy what they're watching, whether that's education or whatever. And for TV, you have these sponsors who really want that. They really want you to do a good job because they're paying lots of money for your program. If you don't do a good program, we're not going to pay you anymore. So how can we guarantee we get a good program? Well, script the hell out of it. So plan everything meticulously. Okay, no, now we need, they'll think about what's the image we want to do. Okay, so this foreigner has been in Korea. Is he happy in Korea? Yes, he's so happy in Korea now. Okay, let's see. He teaches Korean. He is the best Korean teacher in the world. Let's see. He's only interested in education. He does literally nothing but does this teaching. Like, that's how they're going to do this because that's interesting. Wow, how did I never hear about that guy? Because he doesn't exist. It is not real. That's the reason you've never heard of this guy before. Yeah. Like, so yeah, I agree with you. If you really want to, like, you know, be open and stuff, you have to, they can't present you like that in the first way. You would have to be yourself. And that might not be good enough for what the advertisers want or what they want to put on the producers, what they want to put on their show.
All right, so in this next section, we're going to talk about some of the books that Billy has done and kind of a little bit more about his career and how he makes money as a publisher. Was Korean like always going to be your career thing?
No, it wasn't until 2015, I want to say. 2014, 2015, after I published my first book. And after I realized, I started getting paid for my first book sales, and I guess I can just tell you up front, I was getting about $2,000 a month for my first book, and that's not enough money to live on. But if you're going from
still something,
recently unemployed to now you can pay your rent. I'm in California, so that barely covers rent at all. But like being able to do that, I'm like, wow. And I'm not still making $2,000 a month for my first book.
Wait, what was your first book that you did?
My first book, Korean Made Simple. I have it here. This is actually my first print as well. I never ordered my own book. I don't actually have my.
I have that. My daughter Capri and I, we've studied that together. It's good.
Oh, cool. Yeah, this is what kind of made me think like, hey, like I know it's going to go down. I know I can't just live off this, but if I can do a book 2 and a book 3, if I can somehow generate more money from my YouTube, I can maybe do this as a career. And that's when I kind of realized that. Before that, I'd actually just gotten laid off from my first real full-time job.
What was your first real job?
It was what would you say? 학원장, of an academy director of an SAT prep company. Believe it or not.
So you've always kind of been in education then?
No, that was just a coincidence because I knew Korean, and I did the interview, and I guess it went so well they hired me without checking that I had no credentials for being an educator.
Got it. Wait, so can you show us your books?
So I actually keep them all in my. I have a bunch of them now. That's this book. Let me get them all out. That's the original print, and then this one. Okay, so this is
maybe do like a walkthrough starting with.
All right, so my first book, Korean Made Simple. It took me I think 6 months of everyday writing and everything to get this one out. The second one came after that. This one I was really, really worked hard on, and this came out I think again another 5 or 6 months after that. And then book 3 came out a little bit later. I actually wrote this one when I had my kid. So I was staying up holding him and writing the book and I'm not sleeping. This was a horrible memory writing this one. But I'm maybe I'm most proud of this one though, because I think I got a lot of good stuff in here. So yeah, this one. And then after that, I went back and I made a workbook for the first book because I thought people want some extra stuff. It's actually 300 pages that I shrank the font and removed spaces and got it down to 170. So yeah, that was my workbook. And then after that, I decided I want to make where'd that go? Oh yeah, I want to make a reading book for people who are intermediates and want to read native stuff. So it's kind of like holds your hand through native level materials. And then I did a reading book with pictures, and this was the first. I didn't hire anyone to draw the inside art, so this one I just kind of did it myself.
Okay.
But yeah, this was my first non-grammar book.
You drew all the art yourself?
Well, inside, I say drew, I say drew loosely. By that, I mean, I took photos that I took and combined it with Microsoft Excel charts, that type of stuff. But so, I mean, it's acceptable. Here's an email. Here's an example of a business email.
Okay.
You can see it. And yeah, it kind of looks like maybe an email thing. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah, great.
And then this I wrote together with Talk to Me in Korean. Well, I wrote it and then sent it to them. They proofread it, organized the lessons into a good order, and then made this cover, printed it, and published it. So that was my.
So that one's through Talk to Me in Korean then.
Yeah, this one's through Talk to Me in Korean, and I think people will also really like this one. Anyway, so yeah, this is my most recent one, and this one's also pretty cool. A lot of people like that. It's just common mistakes. So I went through all of my own common mistakes that I used to make for Korean and put them in there. So yeah, and no books. I'm not working on any new book right now. I'm just doing my course. But after the course, then I'd like to do either a second reading book or maybe a different project.
Got it. So talk to me about your relationship between with Talk to Me in Korean? How does
Yeah,
that?
we started out, actually, the first communication was when I did a Kickstarter promotion for my first book. So I think that was 2014, unless I'm getting, yeah, I think it was 2014. And at that time, they didn't know who I was. And I only knew them because they were, at that time, the up and coming, the biggest Korean teaching platform. So I sent an email actually to Hyunwoo. I said, hey, Hyunwoo, my name's Billy. I'm making this new book. I'm doing a Kickstarter. Would you mind promoting it for me? I'm honestly not trying to be your competitor. I just want to put out a Korean grammar book. And I think there's nothing else like it. And he retweeted it. And from that, I think I got $2,000 on the funding goal, which at that time, that brought me up over the goal that I needed. So it gave me enough money because I had to hire, I never made a book before. So I had to hire, of course, an illustrator to get all the art done. I had to spend money doing like formatting and get an editor for it. So that gave me the money to do that, and also to pay my rent because I was still living in California. And that's how it started. And then from then, we didn't have any contact until every once in a while, like I'd retweet something of theirs or they'd retweet something of mine. But then in 2017, I went to Korea and said hi and met them. And then Hyunwoo came to Los Angeles for what was it? KCON? Do you know KCON?
Like Comic-Con for...
Yeah, for Korean K-pop stuff.
Yeah.
And he came to LA and I picked him up and we drove around and I almost killed him in the car. And then that was our first time like actually getting to meet. And that started our kind of like relationship together. Yeah. And after that, we appeared in each other's videos a few times. When I went to Korea, I'd be like, hey, be in my video. And he'd be like, hey, we're shooting a video. You should be in it. Like that. And then we got to talking.
Did you get a lot of subscribers from there?
Sometimes, yeah. Some of the videos we did together, I would get like, maybe I would do a Q&A video on their channel and then I would look and I'd get, 500 subscribers the next day.
Yeah.
But it wasn't so much, I think, just to get subscribers. It was that I think we both realized like, I want a good relationship with them because one, they're the best right now, best Korean teaching company. I need all the help I can get. And then two, like I've seen some communities where the people who are in it are just kind of like competing with each other, just fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't want that. And it turns out they actually feel the same way. At least Hyunwoo told me that they feel the same way. Like they want to be like connected with everyone. They want to have this good community of where you start learning Korean and you're welcomed into this big community of lots of teachers. You don't feel like, should I use him or should I use them? And the one teacher's like, oh, don't use them. They're not good. And the other one's like, oh, they're terrible. You shouldn't trust Billy. Yeah. So we wanted to have like, no. Like, welcome to learning Korean. These are your possible teachers, use whatever you like. Use who you like.
So is Hyunwoo, is he the owner of that company?
He is like, he's the director. So he's the leader of the company.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
And I have the closest relationship with him. So we'll send Katok messages to each other every once in a while.
His English is good. I mean, he's like very comfortable just talking about whatever,
Yeah. And I was really impressed with that when I first met him because in his videos, he sounded great, but I won't say, but I've met people who sound great in videos, whether Korean or English, but then you actually meet them and they're not.
Yeah.
Because you can disguise lots of stuff through video, whether you have a script or you practiced it or you had someone help you write it or you're cutting and editing and stuff. And I can do that too with my videos. And my English is terrible when I'm trying to record because I'll keep messing up. Yeah. But when you watch my videos, like, wow, he looks like such a good presenter. No. Yeah. And I think he, though, surprised me because his English was exactly like it's presented in the videos. And I felt strange speaking Korean to him because his English is already good enough.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I really like that, though. He hadn't never spent any time abroad to learn English. He just was really interested in it. And other languages, too. He picks up languages because he's a genius. But well, if he's watching it, yeah, sure. It's because he's a genius, but no, he's really interested in it. He puts in the time. He knows how much time he has to spend to do it and he does it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I look up to that.
I would say for me, one of the hardest things has been, I feel like I had this giant like learning curve. I picked up things so fast when I lived there,
Mm-hmm.
And then ever since I lived there, it's a different type of journey trying to to keep up your abilities and
Yes.
also learn lots of different things, because I mean, for me, I find literally I record myself now just speaking. I'll pick a topic and I'll record myself speaking
just to talk
first, actually. And then I'll go try to discuss the same thing in Korean and see like what words am I missing.
Right.
But,
I do that too, actually. Like I said, I experienced that also. Originally, after I stopped living in Korea, I was figuring, I'm good at Korean now. Start going around. 6 months later, I realized I can't remember this word. I knew that word. I can't remember it. Oh, how did I say this? Or how would I say that? And I realized like, wow, I'm already forgetting some Korean. So immediately I went back into study mode. And I haven't forgotten it again since. But yeah, it's really easy when you're living in Korea and you're exposed to it all the time, and you get to a certain level and you think that's going to continue, but you're always like walking up against the treadmill with that.
Cool. So this next section is kind of short, but we talk about his live broadcast, which I definitely recommend checking out, especially if you are like me and you're not a native Korean speaker. So I'm going to make a quick plug for my favorite part of what you do is probably I love usually on Sundays, 3 times a month.
Yeah, the live streams.
Yeah, you do these live streams. I will say for me, I'm probably more on like yeah.
Most of the live streams, I know my audience is the majority in the early beginning stages, not even like beginner level, but like early beginning stages.
But you've got some good intermediates. You actually have some people that don't comment that much, but when they do, it's like, man, you're actually pretty decent,
I notice some people are quiet and then they'll just like send me an email. Hey, Billy, I'm actually your fan. I'm actually an advanced Korean speaker. I've been living in Korea. I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah. But I mean, what I like about it is I've been doing a breakdown of this girl, Onege. It's this girl who is from Kazakhstan,
Kyrgyzstan. Yeah, I met someone from there once before, and we were speaking in Korean, and I couldn't. She said her country name to me 5 times. I felt so embarrassed because I was like, "아니, 그 나라 이름 뭐라고요?" She's like Kazakhstan. I'm like, 다시 얘기해 주세요. Kazakhstan. I kept asking her. I felt so embarrassed. I was interviewing her at the time, actually. So.
Yeah. But anyways, I was listening to what she was talking about, and she said that one of the things that she studies a lot is she studies little kid books. She's like, I feel like the basics is what people miss the most, and so I go through and read like lots and lots of little kid books or big books that I've already read in English.
That's what she does. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm guessing her level's pretty good in Korean.
Well, let me just say this. In my video of the top 10 Korean speakers, it was the one name that everybody said I missed.
Ah, okay. So yeah, I think if you're at an advanced level, so probably where you're at, you can do that. Reading kids' books would be very useful. I think for beginners, they wouldn't be able to do that because they wouldn't know like the onomatopoeia and the kids' words for something that there would be a different adult word for, but now this is the kids' version.
But what I will say is that one of the reasons I find myself almost every week, I miss some of them, but
you're there most of the time. Yeah.
If I miss something, I'll usually go back and watch it just because I'm interested in it. But one of the things I found is that I like your stuff because you're very detailed and it brings me back. Yeah, I think I know this form, but did you know this aspect of it?
Yeah. Like
even today, I was going and watching one of your videos about like 해야 하다, 해야 되다, like one of your very first like 얘기합니다, like something like that.
Oh, don't watch the early learn Korean videos. I'm not. I've done better since then.
One thing that was interesting in it is you said, if you say like 얘기합니다, or something like that, then it has to be, that has a little bit more of a stronger feeling of like a must.
Yeah.
Than 해야 돼, which they use a lot more just in normal.
Right.
And so it's stuff like that you'll say sometimes in there. I'm like, I mean, yeah, I guess that's true. Or
you don't really think, and when you learn it, you just learn like, you can either say 해야 하다 or 해야 되다. People usually say 되다. So you're like, okay, that's good enough.
I mean, I definitely find myself in the comments holding myself back of like wanting to, so like people, you'll say, how do you say this? And people put together their sentences and I'm like, nope, I can't reply to this because I don't want to like take over your comment section. But
oh no, go ahead. Yeah, I don't really mind about that. Like, yeah, that's the kind of comments I'm fine with. What I don't like are when people come in and they say, what did I not what did I miss, but can you teach this again? And it's like something I just spent 30 minutes explaining. So I'm like, no, watch the video when it's done.
Yeah. But so I will say, I mean, there are a lot of people who actually watch my channel are people that were missionaries like myself that learned Korean before. And if you're one of those types of people and you're an intermediate advanced type of person and you're looking for something to kind of keep your Korean up or whatever, I would definitely check out what Billy does on these Sunday things because they're pretty sweet.
Yeah, thanks for the recommendation.
Or, I mean, there's thousands of my subscribers like K-pop, but they don't speak the language. And so if you're looking to start from the beginning, I would also say that would be like, definitely check it out because it's good. That's what, if I could wish for you more than anything, I'd love to see that. And I'm in advertising as well. So there's parts where I'm like, man, I bet we could do some things to grow that more. But I would love to see, instead of having like 100 people on those 120, 130 people that watch those, I'd love to see like several hundred or like 1,000 people.
It would be nice. Eventually, though, if it makes you feel better, I do eventually get a few thousand views on all of the live streams. Yeah. But it'll be maybe a week or so after. So I know that there are the people watching it. They just don't tune in live.
Yeah, I mean, I'll actually see sometimes within like 48 hours, you've had 1,000 to 2,000 people that have watched it, that just time or whatever.
So I'm okay with that. I really like the live interaction though, because sometimes that's helped me for when I'm teaching. Like I'll say, hey, does that make sense? Is that good for everyone? Then, of course, yes, awesome. But sometimes they've been like, can you actually talk about this a little bit more? I'm like, oh, that's a good point. I missed that. Oh, you're right. Oh, I forgot to talk about that. And then I've retaught something because of that. So I like that live interaction, but maybe someday I can get a larger audience for them.
Yeah, very cool. Awesome. So in this last section, this is where we talk about learning the Korean language, or if you are a Korean trying to learn English, a lot of these same types of things apply. Check it out. So what's your current process for studying?
Yeah, currently, right now, as of this day, I have always done general studying for my YouTube. So since I've started YouTube, there's no way I'm going to forget my Korean, because every time I write my lessons, I'll research a lot. So I'll research multiple sources in Korean, because there's usually never one source that has what I'm looking for. And most of those, they're just written in Korean. So I have to read all of those in Korean, the technical language that's whoever wrote it, or someone's blog sometimes. And then if there's a Korean article, like if there's someone posts an article about Korea, well, I can read the original one. Also, then I said recently I had started a gaming channel, which I don't want to promote. I don't really care if people come to that, because I like the people who are already there. It's okay. And just to give me some more exposure to Korean, I also started watching a Korean YouTuber. I normally don't watch YouTube videos very much. But I do watch YouTube, but not YouTubers. I'll say that. There are no like YouTubers I watch. Yeah. And I started watching a Korean just because he's playing some Korean games and speaks Korean. He's really clear and it's kind of enjoyable. So I started watching that. And of course, then I'll speak Korean with my wife. I'll speak Korean with my kid about half the time. I have several friends, at least 2 friends I talk to on a daily basis. And then a few more every so often who we only speak Korean. Twice a week, I also do I'll just say video conference kind of with some Korean friends for about an hour, where it's all only 100% in Korean. So I only speak Korean for that as well. And for that, it's a hobby. I'll teach English in Korean. So I teach English to them by speaking in Korean. Just as much as possible to keep using Korean, because I totally know that if you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah. Wait, so you have people that you have people every day that you practice Korean with that's not family? Like you have someone you talk to every day?
Yeah, and in fact, like that's the one thing. And I mean, I'd only revealed I had a wife in the first place on my YouTube, I think 2 years ago. Yeah. Because people immediately assume, well, oh, you have a Korean wife, that's how you learn Korean. Like, no, anyway, I don't actually speak with my wife all the time because obviously I'm a full-time, whatever I'm doing, YouTube, teaching Korean, writing books and stuff. So I'm in my room working most of the time. So I'm not hanging out all day talking with my wife in Korean. I'll talk with her when we eat lunch or eat dinner or, you know, nighttime or whatever. But most during the day, while I'm working, I can still, you know, message people in Korean or read things in Korean. But yeah, it's just always because, and even as it is, I don't feel it's enough. I'm trying to figure ways that I can increase that further.
For me, I think more recently, since I've started doing some YouTube stuff, and obviously I'm like a very new, kind of in that space, but I've really enjoyed all the comments, especially that just come in Korean. Just that's a lot of fun for me, especially because I talk about subjects that are kind of all over the place. So it's things I've never talked about before, you know, like my friend that got kidnapped in North Korea and people escaping.
Yeah, I saw that was really interesting.
Yeah, or people with like, did that interview with Robert Holly? So there's all sorts of other things that people talk about there. So that's been fun doing those comments, and then I do all those translations for all of my subtitles, and that's been really good. But I would love to find a way. I need more of that, like actual conversation stuff. So you literally just have friends that you talk with.
Yeah,
like,
and why don't you try to do that then? Why don't you just on your YouTube, or even open a second YouTube if you want, make it a Korean title, everything 100% Korean. Every video is titled in Korean, and you just speak about whatever in Korean.
Yeah.
Why don't you just do it, like just for fun, or like just do live streaming? Even you don't even have to make videos.
What I would like to do is more. I like the show PTI, like for.
I haven't seen it.
So it's basically they just debate different subjects about.
Okay.
I would love to have like other non-native speakers that we just debate and talk about sports, politics, all sorts of different subjects, and just
in Korean.
Yeah, like
so you want to recreate 비정상회담 is what you're saying.
I mean, I like that show a lot.
Well, it's a show. It's a show.
To me, there's still aspects of it that it's the best thing that's been out there about that. But there's things. I would do it a little bit differently, I guess. I like the ESPN style where they're just like hammering through different.
Well, you probably wouldn't use a full script either, so
yeah,
it would just be like free talking.
Yeah.
At least that's what I've heard from someone else who worked on that show. That apparently it's 100% scripted. Like, really? I didn't know that.
It doesn't come off that way.
No, it comes off very natural. I won't say his name, but I do know a guy who works in the industry, and he told me that he's like, yeah, the show is 100% scripted, and there are only a few exceptions, a few people that can go off script. One of them being Tyler, actually, he said.
So,
but he's like, in general, it's scripted.
If that's true, one thing that's super weird to me is that they make a ton of mistakes as is. You know what I'm saying?
The reason I think for that is that they have what they're supposed to say, but that sometimes they'll read it a little bit differently than they're supposed to say it. Like I know this is my point where I have to interject and say this fact that I talked about before, but I don't remember it as well as I should. Like I don't have that script line in my head as well as I should, or exactly what I'm supposed to say, so it can come out wrong. Yeah. Everyone on the show, of course, speaks Korean. You have to.
Yeah.
It's just what level. So sometimes you might hear someone going on like give some really perfect explanation, but you can maybe guess like, oh, their speaking doesn't really seem to match what they're saying. Like, how did they say that? Like such perfect Korean. Sometimes it could be that they're just reading from a script. Other times it could be that they have pre-planned what kind of thing they're going to say.
Yeah.
And I've never been on it, so I'm just going off what I've heard.
Sure.
Someone who was working with those programs told me. Yeah.
Interesting. But yeah, I would love to I need to find something more that's just more expansive, because it was interesting. I was talking on the phone with actually Robert Holly's son the other day.
Okay.
And we're gonna do some stuff coming up here soon. And he really is. I asked him, I said, what are you better at, English or Korean? Because you grew up there, right? If
he grew up in Korea, then he should be better at Korean, assuming if he actually grew up there.
So, I mean, I'm talking to him in English, and he works at Morgan Stanley, and he sounds just like any other American when I'm talking to him, right? And this is Robbie. So I'm talking to him on the phone, and I ask him, I'm like, what are you better at? And he goes, it's really interesting. He goes, I feel just as comfortable in either of the languages, but if there are certain things I have never done in each of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure there are things I would not feel as comfortable in that I do on a daily basis for Morgan Stanley.
Mm-hmm.
When I am doing them, I like doing them in Korean. I think I would mess up on it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, and vice versa. There's things that like I just always did, friends and different experiences I have with them that I don't feel quite as comfortable in English because I never did it, you know?
Right.
But that was interesting to me because I feel that way where it's like, you know, I never went to preschool in Korea. So even I've had times I'll forget like a color, you know? And I'm like, wow, I know all this stupid stuff. I can't remember like periwinkle or like whatever the color is, you know what I'm saying?
Yes. That was the most delicious crayon flavor.
Exactly. But it was interesting to hear someone who anyway grew up with both of those different things, and it really is situational, which made me think that you just have to put yourself in more different situations, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's I guess part of the thing when I was saying I'm using like Korean games and stuff. I have no experience with Korean game terminology, but not just that. One of the games I'm playing is actually related to Korean high school. I know nothing about like Korean high school terms except for like, you know, I know the room names and stuff, just regular words, but I wouldn't know like some types of slang they use for high school or what they call this kind of person in high school. And so yeah, I get to learn a lot of that. And it's just, you have to be in that situation. Like you can't just look at a list of words that you would use in high school because you wouldn't get that. You wouldn't understand, okay, well, when do I use this word instead of this word that I would normally use when talking about that?
Right.
Yeah. If you are not in that situation, you simply cannot get comfortable with that sort of situation.
Totally. So for a second, look with me in the future.
All right.
Of where you want to be 5 years, 10 years down the road. Who is go exclamation points all over the place, perhaps capitalization, not capitalization, Billy Korean. Who is this guy? Where is he? What are you doing?
10 years from now.
Yeah.
I will be 43 and I will still be wearing this dumb hat and shirt and holding around a teddy bear. I hope that not much changes as far as the basics. I still want to be teaching Korean. I didn't think this was like my life's calling until I started doing it full time. Then I realized like, no, this is literally all I can do. I have no other talents. I need to do this. So, I need this. So yeah, I hope that I can still do something along these lines. Like, you know, I don't see myself being like a in-person teacher. I feel like I do better with a nice, like with a controlled class without people interrupting the lesson.
Yeah.
And maybe still doing lives, hopefully doing my videos, but of course, new projects. So I don't want to only do, like, I want to go on to try some other projects. So after maybe if I do another reading book, I've always wanted to make a video game. And
like a real one.
I've made a couple before already on my channel. I did a Korean typing game. I did 2 Korean typing games. I remade it, and I had a lot of fun doing that. And then I actually made a new game. I did the first 5 minutes of the gameplay, 5-10 minutes of the game, and I had to stop it because I couldn't do the artwork for it. So now I'm trying to work on maybe I can figure out how I can do the art for it.
How do you make a video game?
Programming. Yes. You
program?
Yeah, I programmed. Well, I don't call myself a programmer. I'm a very beginning programmer, but I can figure out. I did like I said, I did like an alpha version, like a first 10-minute gameplay of without giving anything away. It's kind of like a point and click game in 3D. And yeah, I started work on that but for learning Korean. And yeah, I stopped it, but I still have it. I still have everything I did so far. And I'm confident I can make it if I could.
Wait, you just said your only talent is Korean, but you program.
It's related to Korean though. It is. And no, like I said, I can't, with some of my friends who are programmers, they feel like they really get a good grasp of programming. Like it makes sense to them. It doesn't make any sense to me. I just keep mashing buttons and redoing it until it works, but I can do that.
Okay.
Like this didn't work. Why? Oh, I see. It's this. No, it wasn't that. Oh, I see. It's this. No, it wasn't that. Oh, I see. It's this. Oh, I guess it was that. Okay. Next problem. Like that. Yeah. That's kind of what I do. That's my debugging process.
So as much as you feel comfortable break down for me where most of your revenue type of stuff comes from, as far as YouTube, live chat stuff, or books or whatever.
Every month it varies because I don't, like I said, I'm not employed. This is just I'm just a self-employed person. Most of it comes from the books. Let's say 60, 70%-ish, somewhere around there is from my books.
Really?
If you're wondering how much I make, I am by no means, I haven't crossed even $100,000 a year. So I'm not like making bank off of this, in case you're curious. Some people, but I'm not in the poverty line.
Yeah.
So I'm not like struggling to survive. But if there was some like problem, like my YouTube got deleted or something, well then I'd be dead at that point. Yeah. And then YouTube is actually, it's not very much money. People, whenever I tell Koreans, especially, you know, I do YouTube, their first question is, oh, you must make so much money. It's so easy to make so much money on YouTube. I'm like, no, I think my best month ever on YouTube, I made $800 on advertising. Yeah, it's typically just a few $100 for YouTube. And then these days I started my membership. So I'll get maybe $100 or so bucks, because YouTube takes some of that too. Maybe $100 memberships, and then my Patreon, a few $100 more. I think it's like $400 right now or something. So yeah, I'm trying to change that though. I'd like to get it so that my majority of my income can be based on, well, get my income back up with YouTube, so that way I can be able to support myself on donations and fan interactions and stuff like that. That way I can do with my books whatever I want, because there's some books I want to make, but I cannot because of how expensive and how much time they would take, and people wouldn't buy them as much. In the future, if possible, I really want to make what I call my grammar Bible, with every grammar form in Korean ever, with exception of like our stuff that you like, really weird stuff, but like everything, literally every grammar form you would ever come across in a book, each one with short explanations and like 10 examples or so.
Are you going to include two things? One, I would love to see something that's on, I would love to watch more old-time Korean dramas, you know?
Taguk, you know, your historical
dramas? Like that show Kingdom that just came out that's like, it's historical, but it's got zombies. I don't know. I think
I saw the first season,
Yeah. So, but take something like that. I don't know all those forms, you know? So when I hear, I can guess on some of them, but there's ones where I'm like, I don't know, man. You know, what I always do when I want to learn grammar from, I just search on Naver Dictionary and go to the Kugo Dictionary, because it has everything written out in it, exactly like when and where to use it. But yeah, the idea is, if I can make my project someday that I would like to, if I don't have to worry about money, is it would have all of that stuff too. I would love to see something on the old time Korean stuff, you know, because I don't know many resources that really breaks that down. And I know
you're not going to find a resource on that in Korean or in English.
You're so dang good at breaking down. Okay, let me just go ahead and say this. I'm going to put this sooner in my video for sure. But Billy is the best person that I have met. And I'm a pretty critical person when it comes to people's abilities with Korean and what have you. Billy in grammar, he's the best person I've ever seen that is a non-Korean who can explain grammar forms, period. Like, thank you. The best person. Compliment. There may be some other people that have written a few books or whatever, but as far as like stuff that's available on YouTube to digest and, you know, easily accessible, I think you're the best at it.
Well, it's because I'm willing to accept that I don't know everything, and I'm okay looking for everything from different sources. So I take what I know, but instead of just saying, okay, well, this must be right because I know it, I'm like, no. Let me see if I'm missing anything from my knowledge, and I'll go look, I'll check various websites. And then whenever I do that, every time I do that, there's never one resource that has all the stuff that I want to put in my new video. Not to say that mine is now the best,
right?
But now mine is, I think,
more complete
than others. So even with my Gie and Kille live stream I did, I thought that would be really easy because I'm like, oh, I know those forms, of course, you know, because Kille is like slang because. Then when I really started thinking about it, I'm like, no, there's something else to this.
Yeah.
So I thought about it for a bit. I made some sentences. I asked my wife to give me some more sentences I can use as well. And then looked on the internet and found an old grammar book from like the 70s that explained it. I'm like, no, that's missing it too. That doesn't have it. But I like this thing that they say. So let me take that. And I found the Naver's official source. And I'm like, no, they don't. They're completely wrong. They're missing everything. And then Kugo1, I found some blogs and put it all together. I'm like, looking at all that together, I'm like, aha, I got it.
Yeah.
And when I really felt that I understood it, then I can make the lesson.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like the way that I am, as far as much time that I put into just years and years and years of studying with the pronunciation side of things, I feel like you take that same passion and you put it towards grammar.
I'm more of the grammar specialty type.
Yeah. But that's awesome, because somebody needs to do it. And it really does take somebody who can take something, when somebody understands something very well, when they can take a complex idea and break it down into something that just seems very, very simple. And I think that's what you do.
What I'm doing is really what I wanted when I was trying to first learn Korean. Because I would ask Koreans, like, what is this concept? And they so poor at explaining things. I don't blame them, because they're not teachers.
Yeah.
And I would be like, well, is this the same as, and a lot of times I would compare it to Japanese. I'm like, is this the same as the Japanese form? They'd be like, no, it seems like it is. Like, I'd show them the dictionary. Look, they even have examples in Korean and Japanese. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
No, it's not the same.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, can you tell me why? Like, it looks the same. It's just not the same. Trust me. I'm like, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
So I really wanted like that full explanation, because I like people say like, oh, Billy, you're so good at learning languages and stuff. I'm not. That's the thing. I'm not talented at learning languages. I just keep going until I get to where I want to be. Yeah. But I've never felt like, oh, this came easy to me, like for anything, for Korean. Like I always felt like, oh, this was a real challenge to learn this form. Like even Hangul, like people, learning Hangul in 2 hours, I took like a month.
Yeah.
I couldn't write that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just my philosophy for grammar too, is I want to understand like the core essence of that form, or else I don't actually understand it.
Yeah. The one thing I would say, and you and I have talked about this kind of in emails back and forth, but the one thing that I would love for you to add into your curriculum is probably the voicing aspect of things.
Oh, right. You mentioned the voicing stuff for that. I was thinking in the future, actually, I was actually planning for episode 21, but we'll see, of doing an episode about stuff kind of like that, like just like a review about pronunciation, and then also a review about intonation. Just kind of like, you're learning from a non-native. So obviously you're not going to get perfect intonation from me. Right. Even if I can give you the correct pronunciation, it's not going to be the way that Koreans will pronounce it, because I'm still speaking very slowly. Right. And even my when I'm pronouncing things, I'm speaking things more like with more emphasis than a Korean would pronounce those letters, because I'm trying to make it really clear. Like a Korean might say ka, but that's not so clear. So you want to hear ka. Yeah. Ka. You want to hear that, so you get that. I'll definitely be making a mention of more pronunciation stuff and intonation stuff as I go along.
I think if you added the voicing part in there, I think that's something that people should learn like right off the bat. Mm-hmm. Just how things sound, the difference between like ka and aga, ta, aga, pa, aba, because that's where, even with the best speakers, I mean, I've been through, I don't know if you saw the video that Chad and I did on the top.
I did. I saw Tyler also replied to that as well.
Well, in the back,
in the other video.
There were actually two people in there that we had to take out. We took out Ines Kaya.
I actually think Kaya also, he was the number one on my list forever. Yeah. I know you took him out for his the whole thing with him, whatever.
Marriage thing, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Icham or Ihanu, he was the German guy.
I don't know.
He same age as like Ida Doshi and Robert Hawley. That whole thing is really good. But if you ever want to do an advanced Korean pronunciation segment, I'd love to highlight some of that stuff, because there's definitely some things in there that I feel like, for me, one of the kind of mission things that I want to do in the Korean world is just help. There's no reason that foreigners need to have such terrible pronunciation. It's literally one of the few things that's just math. If you just know, there's like,
to a certain extent, everyone can get decent pronunciation.
Yeah,
like you don't have to sound like a native, but everyone can get decent pronunciation where everything's understandable and it sounds pleasant to listen to.
I will say the number one thing that I think is missing, that I wish existed, that probably neither you nor I have the skill to do, and I don't know how you solve this, but a couple foreigners have done it, is how on earth do you teach like Ogyang or Maltu? How do you
I have actually been working on that.
Really?
And
you do have the skill to do it.
No, it's a big problem because I started planning out an Ogyang episode a few years ago, and I'll add notes to it here and there, like what would you actually teach, you know, because you need to break it down. There are some things that are obvious. I can be like, you know, for typically words, the first syllable will have an upward intonation going down in Korean, whereas in English, we use the second syllable, like computer in English, we say in Korean, computer, like that. So those types of obvious things, but then beyond that, like full sentence in intonation, I have some resources on it. I would like to do it too, but I haven't put it together. It's a very difficult problem.
I talked with this one girl, because one of the ways that I have studied pronunciation a lot is I'll have a Korean read something and I'll parse it all out, and then I'll parse out what I said and measure the differences between those. It's painstaking work to do.
Yeah, it sounds very difficult, but
you learn a lot about very, very fine nuances of things. I was talking with somebody who used to work in the news industry, and they took my stuff and they started marking different up and down things. And I'm like, what is
interesting?
That?
Yeah.
They're like, well, in the news world, there are specific ways you're supposed to go up and down. Yeah. And I'm like, this is one of the very first things I've ever seen that's on Maltu. And also,
there are lots of interesting things about how they do the news. I bet you didn't know that they actually memorize what they're saying. They're not reading from a script.
Really?
They have a script, but they're not reading from it. They have to memorize it. That's one of the skills of being a presenter on the news.
Really?
Which is crazy because it's like in the U.S. news.
That's one of the few things I think I could crush, honestly, because because I have for me, since I haven't lived there forever, I struggle with the thinking in areas I haven't talked about, because I just don't, you know, it's just harder for me to go back and forth between English and Korean. But if I ever can memorize something, then I feel like I can say it just about right, which is probably why I do like the
one of
rap
those speaking
stuff
competitions.
What's that?
Like, oh, you should try one of those Korean speaking competitions they do every year, like multiple times in Korea. The skill in that is how well can you memorize what you're supposed to say? Exactly, memorize. And I would not be able to do that. Like I'm terrible at memorizing even one sentence in English.
But for me, I have the skill gap between what I can do if I prepare and how comfortable I feel in daily conversation. Not regular stuff, but like, let's talk about, because I like talking about deep subjects, but I can't do it without some prep. And that drives me nuts. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you have to know, like, oh, I'm going to be talking about this today. Well, how would I say, let's see, I would need to say this. I would need to say this. I probably want to say this. And, I don't know that word. I don't know that word. Kind of like that.
Same thing with like games and high school stuff and the type of stuff.
Right. Yeah. So I'm finding these words and I'm like, what is that word? And I'll search it and it's like some super basic word. I'm like, how did I not know that word?
And you're like, what?
I should have known that word. I swear I have never heard it before. Like I never knew that word.
Totally. Well, cool. Well, I appreciate your time, man. It's been a lot of fun touching base with you.
Yeah, same.
I'm probably going to go order all of your books because now I didn't know.
They're still for beginners. I think number 3 is like low intermediate at best.
For me, I'm going through that stuff with my kids, and I will say
you can do this one. This one actually legitimately would have something for you to learn because it's native level. Okay. But the other ones are mostly beginner. But yeah. I always appreciate you stopping by the channel. You always get me to do like dabs or dancing from your donations.
Let's get some. Hey, I'm gonna join you. Let's do some Billy dabs here. There we go. Boom.
I don't even know why I dab. It's so dumb. It's just I can't stop.
That's great, man. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any comments, if there are things that you liked or didn't like about this video, please leave them below and make sure to check out Billy's channel. Thanks so much. Annyeong.